It's a dog-eat-dog world out there, especially on the lofty plateaus of Ethiopia. But some puppers put their personal proclivities aside to lend a helping paw. But why? Find out what makes these good boys so good on this episode of Life, Death, and Taxonomy. Welcome to Life, Death, and Taxonomy, your 30 minutes of interesting animal info. I'm Joe.
And I'm Carlos.
And today we're talking about a mammal. Our first one was not a mammal.
Hooray! So second one is a mammal.
Mammals are my favorite, whatever they are.
Animals?
Class?
Class.
Yes.
I like...
Mammals are my favorite class.
I like our first animal, cephalopoda. Those are just crazy animals.
They are insane, but
but they're not very endearing.
I connect with my fellow mammals.
With your fellow mammalias. So which mammal are we tackling on this fine day?
Well, I'm asking you.
You're asking me?
Can the Ethiopian wolf change its fur color? Yes. Because when they're young, they have black fur. And when they grow up, they have different colored fur.
Oh, it does, but not on purpose.
Not on purpose. We're talking about the Ethiopian wolf.
Bet you didn't know there was a wolf in Ethiopia.
I bet you didn't know there was Ethiopia.
I bet you most people know that.
Some people don't know that, yeah.
I bet you didn't know that there was any wolves in Africa at all. Most of them are in Europe and Asia and North America.
Yep. My favorite place. All right, let's talk about what's this guy look like?
Canis.
What's his name?
Simensis.
I mean,
he's also called the Abyssinian wolf, which I think is an awesome name. The red jackal, which is a misnomer because he's not a jackal, and the Kubero, which sounds like Cubone.
That sounds adorable. Cute Kubero.
The Kubero. Oh,
Stanley, put me back in. Stanley Kubero.
Stanley Kubero. Thanks for your mediocre science fiction films.
Ooh, snap.
Oh, snap. But we're not talking about the Coob. We're talking about the Kubero. It's from kingdom Animalia, phylum Chordata, of course. Class Mammalia, order Carnivora, family Canidae, genus Canis, and species Simensis. So the other things in the Canis category, besides wolves, are dogs, jackals.
Not hyenas.
Not hyenas. Not foxes.
Vulpine.
Yeah, they're from genus Vulpes.
Vulpus
or something. Yeah, mostly wolves and dogs. And then there are like 2 species of jackals and coyotes.
Jackals in?
They're Canis.
Oh, okay, wow.
Canis, yeah. But they're kind of their own thing. Wolves and dogs are very closely related. And they can interbreed without problems. Mm-hmm. Where you can't do that with jackals.
Speaking of foxes, I think this guy kind of looks like a fox.
I think so too. A big one. In
terms of coloration and whatnot.
It's like a reddish brown coat.
Big? How big?
40 pounds and 3 feet. 3 feet long.
Okay, that's a decent.
So it's like
for a dog size.
Yeah. It's a medium-sized dog.
Mm-hmm.
It looks similar to a big fox or a jackal, but it's actually a wolf because it's the size of a coyote, which is pretty big.
Yeah, and it looks similar to a coyote too in terms of the facial structure.
I always thought the coyotes look almost exactly like wolves.
They're longer. I don't know.
Fluffier wolves.
No, I feel like Siberian wolves and
the biggest wolf is the North American gray wolf.
Those can be pretty fluffy.
Sure, because they live in
cold place,
Alaska and the Yukon. Cornelius, the greatest prospector in the north. So they live in the Bale Mountains of Ethiopia, southeastern Ethiopia, which is cool because they're like Bale wolves. Bale wolves.
Bale wolf.
They're super endangered. There's only like 400 of them left.
Why do you think that is?
Because A, they only hunt pretty much one kind of animal, and B, encroaching human territory squabbles, and people thinking that they're dangerous to their livestock, and so they kill them on the spot. Because, like, oh, look, there's a wolf and it's going to kill all of my investment livestock, and I'm just going to shoot it.
But they don't.
But yeah, they don't hunt large animals.
They should.
But
they're trying to get their numbers up. Get at the end of the quarter. Get their quarterly numbers up.
That's bad PR. Then the Ethiopians are definitely going to shoot them. Actually, in the Bale Mountains, the Ethiopians pretty much know, like, hey, these guys are not a threat to our livestock. But elsewhere, the African wolf, I think it's called. The African wolf, which lives all over northern Africa, from Morocco to Tanzania. Those things kill livestock. They hunt in packs and will bring down larger prey. And so someone sees an Ethiopian wolf and says, I see wolf, I shoot wolf.
Okay.
So that's why there's so few of them. And also their habitat is going away. They live in on these plains that are like 3,000 meters
higher
above
plane of existence.
Yeah, they're on the Asgardian plane. So what makes these guys so unique from other wolf, coyote, and jackal species?
Do you want me to go straight into the good stuff?
Fine. We'll talk about their prey.
We could talk about symbiosis. Symbiosis with baboons.
Baboons and other animals too. But go ahead.
But here's a strange thing, and I feel like this contributes to the fact that they're dwindling numbers, or maybe not. They have this symbiosis with baboon herds, but they're not called herds.
Congress.
A congress of baboons?
It really is a congress of baboons.
Okay.
No, yes, it's a congress of baboons and a parliament of owls.
So they don't live near them. They don't live among them, of course. But when they roll into town...
The baboons?
The
coyotes?
The Ethiopian wolf. The baboons are like, hey, pals, no big deal here. We're not scared of you. Just like the knowing Ethiopian farmer should be.
This goes out to you all Ethiopian farmers who are not yet on the bandwagon of Ethiopian wolf conservation.
Get on board, little children. Get on board, little children. So they come in and they don't hunt the baboon. They don't hunt young baboons, as you might expect a wolf to behave.
Baboons are fierce. If I was a solitary hunter wolf, I would not go close to 2 baboons, let alone like a pack of them. Or a congress.
Is that what you're fishing for? They are solitary hunters, and that's different than typical wolves who hunt in pack and take down larger prey together.
Yeah, they kill these small rodents instead of like
mole rats types.
Big-headed mole rats are the primary.
Yeah, and they look just like that sounds. A big-headed mole rat.
They look like a really long gopher guinea pig thing.
Yeah.
They have the big 2 front teeth and stuff like that. They probably whistle when they talk.
So yeah, they roll into town, Baboon City, and they just go forth and eat rats, more rats.
But why would hanging out with baboons mean more rats?
Well, there's a couple reasons. One is that just the baboons going about their daily business disturb the ground so that the rats scurry out of them and try to get away from the baboon noise, and that drives them into the wolves' expecting jaws.
Sounds counter-evolutionary for those rats.
Well,
you think that we built this huge honeycomb network of tunnels. There's something above us that's big. Let's stay down here.
Well, they're going through the honeycomb network, and sometimes they go up and into different holes. I don't know. They're not very smart, apparently.
I imagine.
And then another thing is they assume, another explanation is they think that the rats are they know about the baboons. They're okay with the baboons. So they just come up and eat bugs and whatever they do on the surface with the baboons there. And out of the corner of their eye, wolf looks like baboon. They don't care.
Right.
So the wolf can... Apparently, their haul for the day will double when it's among the baboons.
Wow. I heard they also do the same...
Helpful.
I heard they do the same thing with cattle. If there are cattle grazing over this area where the rats live underneath, the rats will hear the cattle and go up and see what it is, and they're like, oh, it's just cows. We don't have a problem with cows. And so, in the shelter of these massive animals, they'll just come out and start frolicking or whatever.
Mole rats do.
big-headed no, they're not naked mole rats, but big-headed mole rats do. And then the jackals are just hanging out between the legs of the cattle and just snap them up.
So maybe good PR is the reason they only hunt one thing. Well, like
good PR with humans or
and
good PR
animals.
with animals?
So they roll into town, whether it be Baboon Town or Cattle Town.
Cattle Town. Don't worry, man. It's Cattle Town.
They just the animal host knows that they're not a threat, so they don't run away. So that allows them to trick these rats into coming out.
Yeah, so there's the symbiosis.
But it's not true symbiosis
because the baboons don't benefit from this.
Except for they don't get killed by wolves.
But like I said, I feel like if you were to pit a baboon, an angry baboon, against an Ethiopian wolf, I put my money on the baboon.
Not necessarily. Well, they don't get killed by
a full-grown baboon.
They don't have their babies taken by
right.
wolves.
Because that's. Have you seen Tarzan? Those things are nuts.
Well, these aren't those exact baboons, but yeah.
They're not?
No.
They're not like the blue-butted baboons?
No, not with like the colorful face thing. No,
these are different baboons?
Yeah. They look smaller.
Oh, okay, never mind. I was thinking of like...
They're all brown.
The Asambasana squash banana baboons.
No, not that one.
But yeah, so hunting this one... I saw a guy was talking about seeing one of these Ethiopian wolves hunt, and then he pounces on one of the mole rats, and the mole rat gets away into its hole, and then it just loses its temper and starts digging away at the hole.
Oh yeah,
not knowing that the mole rat is long gone. There's no way he's ever gonna dig to that.
Yeah, they show like signs of frustration, and it's funny.
Which is like if
temper tantrums.
If I was a polar bear and I had waited 6 months to catch this narwhal,
they do that too.
I would definitely be upset.
They do that too.
If I just miss my one meal, I just have to go over here and try again. As an Ethiopian wolf.
That's true. Yeah, there's just like it's like whack-a-mole. They're all over the place.
Right. So it's like, but I imagine they have to eat several moles a day, or they're not moles. They're mole rats. They're more rats. Even though we'll have to do one on moles, especially that star-nosed one.
Yeah,
that one's crazy.
Their pack size also depends on the availability of these moles and other whatever else they eat.
I wonder how big a pack usually gets.
20. The highest is normally like 20.
So there's only 20 packs of these wolves.
Wait, how many packs there are, or how many are in a pack?
There are 400 wolves living in the world right now. So there's 20, each pack is 20 guys.
It can range anywhere from just a pair to 20.
Okay.
And when food is really scarce, they'll go down to a pair.
It doesn't really seem to benefit them to be in packs.
No, because they are solitary hunters. And, I guess we can get into it, they have one breeding female and one breeding male in a pack.
And then what do the others do?
They hunt. Nothing. Well, they do provide for young, all of them. So we could talk about this. It's something called, and I'm not sure if it is. It seems like biological altruism, and in biology, altruism is like basically what it means in regular life, doing something for someone else that benefits you in no way.
Okay.
So in the animal kingdom, that means providing food or caring for young. That doesn't mean your survival, and it doesn't mean your reproduction
or your genetic materials survival.
Right. Yeah, so basically in the animal kingdom, number one goal most of the time is
to survive long enough to make more of you.
The survival of the species. And first, my survival, and then second, survival of the species.
I feel like
in some cases it's survival of the species, reproduction first.
Yeah, well, and survival becomes just a byproduct of that. It's like, well, I can't reproduce if I'm dead, so I need to keep myself alive until. And a lot of animals will die as soon as they mate. Mm-hmm. So it's like it's all about. It's like flies. It's like all they need to do is mate, and then they're dead, and the reproduction is.
And in a lot of species, like lions, for instance, they will kill members of their own species to preserve their own line.
They'll also kill their own cubs.
Yeah, that's silliness.
Well, that's because he wants to be king.
Yeah, that's true.
The leader of the pride.
He just can't wait to be
He just
king.
can't wait.
So he'll
So
kill
then
males.
Mufasa should have killed Simba.
Well, Scar did it. Luckily, Scar was there to save Simba from Mufasa.
Scar's the good guy. Mufasa's the bad guy. If these were real lions.
Well, no, Mufasa would then turn and try to kill Simba anyway.
Scar would not have been alive. Mufasa would have killed Scar. Because Scar would have been a...
No, they'll drive him out. They'll be bachelor colonies.
Oh, yeah,
We can talk about lions another
Yeah, we'll
time.
talk about lions later.
So basically, there's a breeding pair, and then most of the time, children. So you'll have like a pack of full-grown wolves, but most of them are kin. So the females will only ever mate with the breeding male or a male from another pack.
In order to not interbreed.
Right. So the other members of the pack will still hunt and provide and protect cubs that are not their own cubs.
Okay. So
Pups
that seems really rare.
Yeah, it's typically pretty rare, and that's why I'm thinking it's altruism. But it could be the fact that if they just go on a breeding frenzy, they won't be able to go on a feeding frenzy. Also, wait, no, that's if they just start.
That sounds cute.
They seem to have a knowledge of the fact that
there's limited food supply.
No, that they can't breed with their own family members.
I think that's instinct and innate in most animals.
Yeah, so inbreeding causes genetic defects, so they usually try to breed with other packs.
And also it also tends to cause infertility. Inbreeding and crossbreeding tends to cause infertility. So I think they instinctively know that somehow, and then they're just like, nope.
Yeah. So they don't do that, but after 2 years, a female will leave the pack and become a floater, quote unquote, or join another pack. And that behavior helps to preserve or to avoid inbreeding.
Okay. Because there's a good chance that female is the breeding female's daughter or something like that.
So is it altruism, or is it just, I don't have an opportunity to breed right now because that's my brother and that's my father?
So but why would they take care of these kids, of the cubs?
Family bond. And
I guess. I mean, you see that in like chimpanzees, but you don't really see that in wolves.
But that's what they're talking about. Like, they don't need to necessarily be together because they hunt on their own. And females, after 2 years, can survive on their own. They leave the pack.
But if there are a lot of kids, if this breeding female has like huge litters that with a high success rate of infant survival, then they need the pack to take care of this litter. Because if there's only 2 of them, how can they... And she has like a litter of 9 puppies every... I don't know how often they... I think it takes like 6 months. The gesticulation... Not gesticulation.
Gestation?
The gesticulation period. The period where they're like moving their hands and stuff all out. No, the gestation period is like 6 months. So technically every 6 months they could have another litter of puppies. And so if you have a lot of wolves, then those puppies have a lot of wolves taking care of the puppies... They're not puppies. They're cubs, wolf cubs.
They're pups.
Pups. Yeah. Then there's a high success rate for their survival. I feel like if there were 20 pups and 2 adults, then some of them would be eaten or die of starvation.
Yeah, that's probably. That's why they can't go on breeding frenzies.
So
because there's not enough mole rat to go around.
So maybe. They would also have to... They don't just eat the mole rats, but they mostly eat animals that are very similar to it. There's like a hare that lives there, and then some other small rodents and stuff like that. If they hunted as a pack, just like they live in a pack, then they would be more targeted by Ethiopian hunters and stuff, and just by farmers. But they'd also probably be able to expand outward and not just live in the Baal Mountains of southeastern Ethiopia.
True. See, that's my question. Why don't they eat?
Because I don't know, it's survival of the fittest. They will eventually die out unless they can adapt.
Truth.
So they need to leave and find another food source, or their habitat's going to be destroyed by humans, and they're going to die. That's just how things work now that humans are expanding into new places.
Now that they are, as of recently.
Well, I mean, in the last several thousand years where animals used to not have to deal with that.
Well, you got anything else?
Nothing else besides the fact that there's an Oxford University wolf conservation program with an E at the end of program.
Ooh.
So that sounds like something I want to be a part of.
Yeah, so stop killing the wolves, please.
Yeah, and they also interbreed with dogs.
They do?
Yeah. The wolves, they can
That's true.
they can breed with dogs. And so that dilutes their genetic their genes, and so they eventually stop becoming wolves and start becoming dogs.
Like wild dogs?
No,
Feral dogs?
Domesticated dogs.
That's got to be a weird, like, you're a farmer, you're sitting there, and then all of a sudden, like, your dog has puppies, and they're like, they don't behave well.
I don't know how they would behave.
Well,
it depends on who they take after more.
Typically, huskies that breed with wolves in North America, the half-breeds have behavioral issues. Like, they're more aggressive because they're part wolf.
Well, I mean, all dogs are part wolf. They all came
A
from
small
wolves.
part, yeah.
Yeah.
They're not half wolf.
No, they're not half wolf. My Jack Russell Terrier Chihuahua thing is not half wolf. Although he thinks he is.
Yeah.
So that pretty much wraps it up. This is a really unique example of what we think is actual altruism, which makes Ethiopian wolves better than humans.
That's not true. I feel like humans do altruistic things all the time.
No, I mean, like, we could get into a philosophical thing about it, but it always benefits you somehow, even if it's like, oh, I'll do this for you because it'll make me feel better about myself or something.
I don't think that's always the case.
No, it's
People
not always.
sacrifice their lives,
but
for
it's
other
not
people.
like a part of our civilization, why we function. This is a huge part of the Ethiopian wolf's,
I suppose,
hierarchy and civilization. Their behavior is naturally altruism, which is not ours. Ours is naturally selfish.
Now, to be clear, I didn't find this on a list of like animals that display altruistic behavior. I just know what altruism is. I read about that, and then I saw like that this kind of seems to fit that bill. So,
well, I wonder what other animals would fall into that category. Definitely not lions.
Nope.
So,
there are birds that will adopt and take care of other.
I've seen that before.
Penguins.
There was like a horse that adopted a goat or something like that.
That's weird.
And they just raised the goat as though it were its own foal or whatever.
I think it's sometimes motherhood instinct will overshadow the instinct to reproduce your own business. Penguins who lose their chicks and chicks who lose their mothers will sometimes come together. So like orphaned chicks will be adopted by mothers whose chicks died. And sometimes they'll fight over who gets to adopt the chick and kill the chick in the process.
That's horrible.
Yeah, it is.
Is this in March of the Penguins?
No, I saw this in, I think, Planet Earth.
This is where we get a lot of our ideas are from Planet Earth and
Planet
Life.
Earth, BBC stuff, yeah. It's really good.
Nat Geo, Wild.
Yeah, watch Planet Earth, watch Life.
Those are all great shows.
Yeah, they are.
It's pretty much... We want to make these shows in audio form for you.
Only without David Attenborough's voice. Sultry tones.
The Ethiopian wolf is not monogamous.
I always like when David Attenborough is like talking about a prey species, and then he'll be like,
"There's a rat."
No, he'll be like, "But there's trouble in the bush. Wolves." Like he sounds incredibly concerned.
like if he was delivering a report to the prey.
Yeah.
Wolves. Then he faints because he's been running 16 miles to deliver the information.
Yeah, that's what he does.
So are we near the 30-minute mark?
We sure are.
All right, so signing off. There's nothing certain except life, death, and taxonomy.
Oh. Hello. You're still here? Well, this week's episode is over. Carlos already left. I'm just sitting here listening to the sounds of Pongo Pygmaeus rubbing its legs together. Anyway, this week's episode is over, but if you're looking for more podcasts, why don't you head over to your local podcasting app, iTunes, Stitcher, Overcast, whatever you got, and subscribe. Just type in Life, Death, and Taxonomy into the search bar for more interesting animal info. Besides, Pongo Pygmaeus is a kind of orangutan. I was just kidding earlier. If you thought it was a cricket, you definitely need to be listening to more LDT. Wait, did you hear that? Oh, okay, so that is an orangutan. I'm out of here. See you in the next video.